Hey y'all, welcome back to Babeinlibrary. It's your girl Lisa, and today we're going to read 5 novellas in preparation for Valentine's Day. Hey y'all, I am about to start my read for 24 hours in total, not necessarily straight through, but I'm going to read my 24 hours novellas that center either Valentine's Day, has a pink cover or a red cover, and obviously is a romance. So I'm going to start with Talk to Me Nicely by Brienne Dene. I have an advanced listener copy, and I'm very excited because this is the first Brienne Dene that I will ever be reading, and your girl has an advanced listener copy. It's only an hour and 4 minutes, so that should bring me down to 23 hours, and we'll keep going from there. Okay, so just that quickly, I have told you all a lie. I am chopping this down to 12 hours. And the reason for that is 24 hours is way too long for novellas. I'd have read 17 novellas by the time that this video would end. And so I'm really going to chop it down to 12. And in that 12 hours, I'm going to be blazing through these novellas. It's only been 3 hours and I've read two. So I did read Talk to Me Nicely, which is what I told you I would start with. And y'all, fantastic. Y'all have got to pick it up when it releases on Friday. This is going to release on Valentine's Day, and this was already released in a digital copy back in 2022. But if you have read it, I encourage you to read it again via audiobook because these narrators knock it out of the park. The narrators for this is Ashanti as Hell and a gentleman named Von Zell. Y'all, they deliver. This is an immersive audiobook where you can hear all of the action. So you can hear when the shower is running, you can hear the rose vibrator going off, you can hear when someone is opening up the door. Like, it really brings you into the story and makes it feel as though it is actually happening around you. And you will be considering yourself a voyeur if you jump into this. This is actually an erotica. I want to make sure I state that very clearly. This is not necessarily the lovey-dovey romance. Now, you do get to see the chemistry and you do get to see the passion, but it's an erotica and it is hot as hell. And I was sweating going into work. Like, you would have thought I had just been running a marathon. When I walked into the doors of my job and I was smiling from ear to ear at 8 o'clock in the morning, I know somebody was like, "Is she okay?" Baby, I'm more than fine because Janae and Callan got me right that morning. This is the story of two individuals who meet each other via unconventional ways. So Janae is actually a phone sex operator and a cam girl at night, and during the day she is a podcaster, which is how they originally meet in both spaces. So Callahan is one of her clientels, actually her favorite customer, and they have built up a rapport in which she actually looks forward to going to work just to spend time with him. They had never met, although they do get to experience each other in the DMs, right? Like, so they have private uh, Skype messages or private FaceTimes where they cover their face, but they are spending time with each other and really feel committed in that space, right? Like, Callahan believes like this is the woman. He is spending his money and his time with her, and in his mind, they go together. And Janae is like, I actually look forward to spending time with him. And in the context of their cam relationship, his name is Pressure and her name is Lux. So if I do interchange Janae for Lux or Callan for Pressure, it's just because I really got to know the characters originally when they met in, um, the cam girl situation. Now, they do run across each other because, like I said, in the daytime, Janae is a podcaster. Now, what I find really dope is that she is spending time on the podcast, spotlighting Black businesses in her local area. And I think that is so dope because, again, she is really adept to utilizing her voice and her platform and speaking life into the Black business, right? She's all about the Black dollar, which Callahan also supports in the sexual manner as well, because he is a part owner of a Black owned condom brand, right? So I just find that it's very interesting that we're talking about these Black businesses surviving, but also being a part of the adult industry. Now, what I find interesting is the way in which their relationship works. Again, Callahan is okay with spending money, and he prefers that he spends his time and his resources given to a woman that he is genuinely interested in. And so when it comes time where they actually meet each other in person, it could be a very awkward situation. But Callahan does not let it get awkward. He's like, hey, no, don't run away from me. Let's explore this chemistry outside of the camcorder. Like, let's really get to see if there's something that we vibe with one another, and let's not waste the time. Let's make it happen immediately. So that was the first novella that I read. Then I move into something that is on the other side of the spectrum. I'm not going to say the other side of the spectrum being that there isn't a open door spice, right? But I'm saying it that these two individuals in Talk to Me Nicely have never met, don't know each other. They've kind of been in a pen pal situation in my mind. On the opposite spectrum, you have Don't Ever Wonder by Takia Lattimore. This is a funny, emotional story. And I know you're probably like, Lisa, those two things don't go together. When you read the book, you will understand. Takia is so funny. Like, I highlighted so many points in which I was laughing out loud, and I just like my side was about to split because it's like, there's no way you could be this funny. And she absolutely is. This is the story of Eartha and Ellington, in which I love that Takia gave a nod and an ode to history, right? Eartha is named after Eartha Kitt, and her middle name is Giovanni. She's named after Nikki Giovanni. And so, like, it's like a nod to, our legends. And then Ellington is obviously named after Duke Ellington. And in this situation, right, Ellington is actually her husband. And her husband, she lost her husband about 5 years ago. So she's been without her husband this entire time. And you get to see it's a little bit of a drawn out experience, even though it's only about 76 pages. Takia makes you really work to see what happened to Ellington, um, what transpired to where Eartha feels responsible, or she feels like she has high anxiety over Valentine's Day because 5 years ago is where he was taken from her. And you really don't get to know what happened. You have to work through that, and you have to work through, Eartha's emotion and how she's been dealing without Ellington for the last 5 years. And when the pieces of the puzzle fail, baby, I fell right along with it. I don't want to give you too much because, again, I had to work for it, and that made it that much more enjoyable. But just know, if you are looking for a situation where you really get to feel for the characters and you want them to be able to experience love and joy and begin to see that Valentine's Day doesn't have to be the hardship of what it was in the past, and that everything works out for the good. Like, just know that these two were soulmates, and that no matter time, no matter space, no matter what forces of nature tries to separate them, their love cannot be broken. Please do know that there is some content warnings that you need to be mindful of if you go into this one. Those are the two things that I've read so far. I think I'm going to go into Ezekiel's Heart next, and I'll check back in with you. Okay, so another quick check-in. I have just finished Ezekiel's Heart by Genesis Woods and got another banger for you all. Like, I'm having the best time reading these novellas for Valentine's Day. Like, who knew that this was going to smash like this? Okay, so in Ezekiel's Heart, you have our female main character. Her name is Penelope, but she goes by P. Everyone calls her P with the exception of Ezekiel. Now, Ezekiel is her best friend's brother. Now, Penelope hasn't seen Ezekiel in 12 years, and the last time they were in each other's orbit, at least to her knowledge, was when he stood her up for prom, and she hasn't heard from him since, hasn't talked to him. But her best friend Yvette says, "Hey, could you do me a solid and pick my brother up? I know it's your birthday. However, my man's taking me out of town, and if you could do this one favor for me, I would greatly appreciate it." So she goes to the airport and she's looking around and she's like, "Where he at?" So she sees this fine man step out of the airport and she's like, "I would slop him up with a biscuit. Like, he looks that delicious." Not knowing that man is Ezekiel, because he's been off in Germany in the military. And so last time she saw him, he was like this scrawny, pimply kid that really she was just like, nothing. Like, there's no chemistry there. But he was taking her to prom because someone stood her up, and he said, "Okay, well, I'll take you to prom." And he was a little bit older than her. She was never on his he was never on her radar. But baby, she was always on his. Ezekiel is a man that plans. He is a man that defends. He is a man that supports. Like, y'all, it's a short novella. I think it's something like 53 pages. Those 53 pages were packed. I had such a good time when, as soon as he stepped off the plane, I said, "Oh, baby, it's going down." Like, the man stepped off the plane with a present. Like, he said, "Let me find a way to make it up to you. It's been 12 years. I have not been able to spoil you, but you've been on my mind constantly." This story builds all within the one day, and they go out to eat. He surprises her by asking her to go to like her favorite restaurant that she used to go to when she was with her parents. She would spend every birthday there. And it's important to know that this story has some deeper themes as well. Just like with the last book, there is some discussion of um missing your parents after they've been gone. There is some loneliness. There is discussion of incarceration or prison, and or actually in this one it's just jail. But y'all, Ezekiel don't play about this woman. Hasn't played with her about her since day one, and it very much shows. And I think that Penelope deserved this, right? Like, the men that she were dealing with in the past, absolute trash. Her ex showed his behind in one of the scenes, and Ezekiel said, "Hey, I'll write about this one, and you just don't know because I wrote about her before." And that man, every time he see me coming, he switched sides of the street. So I don't. If you don't want these business, you best go on about your day. They are the like epitome of, yeah, it's always been you. Like, if there was a dictionary, Ezekiel's heart would be right next to it. And I just love the way in which not only did he shower her, but when you get to the epilogue, she returns the favor. And it's just a reciprocal love that just had always been simmering underneath. And now it's their time to allow it to show. So if you are looking for a quick novella that very much has that, we have been friends and I have loved you for 12 years, from a childhood to manhood, this is the one for you. Let me see what Sticky Situations by Chaslyn Hamilton has for me next. Y'all, I am reading Sticky Situations by Chaslyn Hamilton, right? I'm at 34%. I've got the prediction. So I went in figuring out whether I was going to read this one next or not. And so I was like, okay, well, let me not spoil myself, but let me give myself a little bit of a leg up and see what people are saying. Everybody's first line in their review was, "I did not expect it to end like this. I did not expect it to end like this. I did not expect it to end like this." So me, being the mastermind that I am, I'm like, okay, cool. I read the preface for the story, and then everybody's saying they expect it to end like this. I have a prediction that the Sticky Situation and her whole Valentine's night is not gonna go like she think it's going to go, and we're gonna have to add. It's gonna be sticky. I'll come back to y'all in a moment to tell you what this book is about. Okay, I did not come back to you all in a few moments. It's been a few days, but I will tell you this. I too did not expect the end of the book to end like this. I will say at the 85% mark, my speculation, right? Like what I had deduced and figured out, it actually came true. But the way in which Chaslin wrapped it up, I was like, oh, you wanted to put a pretty bow on it. And then I realized that I also have Sticky Situations 2. And Sticky Situations 2 deals with a character that I thought would be an issue in this book. They get their own book. So I was right and I was wrong. But I love that. I love when an author can write something and I think I know what's going to happen. And I'm like, okay, cool, T, let's make it happen. And then she's like, oh, girl, you thought you knew. And you were partially correct. But I'm going to still put a twist on it. I'm going to still make it so that it's my book. Like, I'm doing the writing. This is the story of our two main characters, Shamar and Senna. They are in their 30s and they have been married for years. And at this point, they are ready to start a family. However, everything that Senna is doing to make sure that she conceives for her husband is not working out in her favor. She has tried IVF. She has tried to make sure that she is keeping track of her ovulation. So be mindful that this does have infertility and pregnancy as a potential concern, as a trigger warning or content warning. So be very mindful and honor your triggers and know what books you should and should not read, to make sure that you're protecting your mental health. But I will tell you, the way in which they go about practicing and preparing for the little bundle of joy that they do desire, baby, it's good. And there was something in here that like blew my mind. I was reading, I was like, trying to say, what? We doing it? Oh, baby. Devoured. Fantastic. 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 This was my first Chaslin Hamilton book, but it will not be my last. Now, the final novella that I read for this, I know I said I was going to do 12 hours. Maybe I couldn't commit to 12 hours. I originally thought I was doing 24. Joke's on me. So I'm going to say that this was 5 a day. Or, no, that's not it. The last and final novella that I did read was Singled Out. This is by Elle Renee. This is my first read of Elle Renee. Honestly, every single one of these authors is my first time reading them. And I love that I was able to do it in a short content. So again, if you are trying out an author for the first time, see if they have a novella that you could read from them just to get a taste of what their writing style is like and if you would like them as an author. I will tell you that Singled Out is a friends to lovers trope that starts off of them going on a couples retreat, but them leaving their significant others by the States because there was a lot of other women and other man drama, and they could not handle, their partners could not handle their friendship. So we have our male main character whose name is Moss. He is an NFL player, and his best friend's name is Sire, and Sire is a content creator. So she is on YouTube, she is influencer on Instagram, and so it is very of the current time. Now I will tell you that I love that the author had if you get the digital copy, it has like some cute character art in there. It has cute little themes for both of the characters. So it is very, very cute. Look at this cover. It is delicious. Now, I will tell you that the first 50% of the book, I loved. Like, I loved being able to see their friendship, them finally give in to their interest in one another. They're having the support from their friends and family. But then when I got to, I think about 60%, it took a turn for me. And I think it was a pacing issue. Like, this book had the potential to be really great. And don't get me wrong, like I said, the first 50% was really good. However, when she started getting to the other side of now we are together, let's figure this out. I felt like she threw a whole bunch of things in the storyline. I was like, whoa, let's take our time. We actually don't have to rush through this. Like, let's play it out. Like, you've got the two exes of these characters acting a donkey. Let's let's bring it into context. Let's see how that worked out. Then you had, okay, we had to throw a third act breakup. No, in a novella, sometimes you don't need that. Like, you can have a third act breakup in a full novel, but if it's a novella, baby, let them be happy. Like, let them get the last laugh with their exes and move on about our day. Like, there's no reason that everybody should be fighting, literally physically fighting each other on the same day, which happens to be a character's birthday. Like, we're all throwing hands, and then someone months later gets tossed to jail in this, and then it breaks up. Girl, we didn't have to do this. If you wanted to write the story out, let's flesh it out. Let's make it one big discussion. Again, I think this novella could have been great. It was just that the pacing towards the end was very rough. At this point, I was like, okay, it is now the day before Valentine's Day. It's time to shut it down. Like, let's call this a completion. I had 4 out of the 5 books that I gave at least a 4.5, maybe 5 star to. This one right here, I'm standing at like a 2.75 to a 3. I will be reading more from El Renee, and I did really enjoy this. I loved having each one of these novellas center Valentine's Day, so if I can do this again for another holiday, I certainly will. Obviously, there's a lot for Thanksgiving, there's a lot for Christmas, so I've done those, but what is another holiday that has a lot of romance novellas that you can think of? Please put that down in the chat below. Let me know what you think I should gear another reading day towards. If you don't want to do that, leave me the barbershop poll, because Don't Ever Wonder had a main character that was owned a barbershop. So do me a favor and leave me the barbershop poll, or leave me some scissors for Don't Ever Wonder, and I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.